but I would love to come back. Who wouldn't want to play for the Knicks or be in New York? Like I would love it, but at the same time, I know that it's out of my hands, and they may have bigger plans.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Hey, what's going on? Quis here with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was a mid-season acquisition for the New York Knicks, and he provided immediate impact on his arrival. Derrick Rose was phenomenal for us off the bench, anchoring our second unit, and also he was admirable when we were asked him to start. He came in the regular season, was 3-0 as our starter, and things weren't as great in the playoffs. I think we were 0-3 in the 3 games he started, game 3, game 4, and game 5. But I'm not gonna attribute that to Derrick Rose's poor play. You know, that was the team wet in the bed for the most part. But not gonna get into that. We're gonna get into what it's gonna cost to potentially bring Derrick Rose back, because he's a free agent, right? And of course, there are teams out there that may look at Derrick Rose and consider him as a starting caliber point guard. I mean, the eye test for me personally, Derrick Rose was the best point guard on our roster, and Derrick Rose deserved to start towards the end of the season. So if there's another contender that sees Derrick Rose as that option, they're gonna bid the price up. So if you want Derrick Rose to come back to this team, expect for him to get a raise. I know a lot of people say Derrick Rose is enamored with New York City, enamored with the Knicks, and would love to come back. That's true, but this is also a business, and I don't think he's going to take a pay cut. He might not take the biggest raise in the world in order to accommodate the Knicks in their plans, but if you look at some of these players I'm going to compare him to, you are going to understand why I'll say Derrick Rose is definitely going to look or be offered some pretty reasonable deals out there on the free market. And if you like this video and you want to support the channel, I would just ask you to consider smashing that like button and making sure you're subscribed. Also, you got to make sure the notifications are turned on. That way you get notified whenever I do drop new content. So with that being said, let's get into this presentation I've prepared for you guys and see exactly what kind of contributions Derrick Rose gave to the Knicks over this last season. All right, so here we are, Derrick Rose, and I want to compare Derrick Rose's three-point percentage, which a lot of people know is not necessarily a strong point for Derrick Rose's game coming into this year. Now, Derrick Rose, he put out a long Instagram post kind of discussing how he, had to work on his game and adjust the kind of player he was. And as we saw from this season, he definitely put in some time to make him more of a perimeter threat by knocking down the three-point consistently. So we're going to look. And let's see the first player we're going to compare him to. So Derrick Rose had a greater three-point percentage than these players we're about to see. So the first one going to be Russell Brickbrook. Russell Brickbrook went out there and he shot a paltry 31% from 3. But that's not the worst. Look how much he was paid in order to do that. Yes, Brickbrook provides a lot of other things outside of three-point per shooting. He's a walking triple-double, but Derrick Rose has worked and become a better three-point shooter than Russell Westbrook, and it was showed during this season. But Brickbrook is not the only point guard that Derrick Rose shot better than this season. He also shot better than the Lonzo Ball, that I personally want the Knicks to go out and sign. Now, Lonzo Ball didn't make a crazy amount of money. I mean, he shot 38% from 3, and he didn't make a crazy amount of money. He's still on his rookie deal, and he did that performance making $11 million for this season. Now, what other point guard did Derrick Rose have a better three-point percentage than? The one, Fred VanVleet. The same Fred VanVleet a lot of fans wanted the Knicks to bring in last offseason. And FVV, he got the bag. Well, let's do his three-point percentage first. He shot 37%. And, he also got the bag last offseason to the tune of $21.25 million. Now, if we compare that to what Derrick Rose did this season, Derrick Rose shot 42% from 3, but that's not the best part. Derrick Rose did it for us while only making $7.6 million. So if you look across the league at point guards that you want to kind of allow, defenses or force defense to have to guard on the perimeter, Derrick Rose has kind of developed himself into that type of point guard. And if you look at some of the other starting point guards in this league that are shooting worse percentages from him for three and also doing it for a lot higher of a cap figure. So if you are a team that's a competitor and you're seeing the starting point guards around the league shooting this type of percentage and costing this amount of money, Derrick Rose coming off a contract where he made 7.6 mil is definitely a bargain. Or he's definitely a bargain for us. Now let's look at some more statistics. Now let's go over to assist and turnover ratio. Now Derrick Rose is a point guard. You want to make sure he's not giving the ball up, and you also want to make sure he's finding his teammates for easy and open looks. If you look at Derrick Rose, we know he made $7.6 million last season, but he had an assist to turnover ratio of 2.68. Now let's compare that to some other point guards around the league and see how they fared. So Derrick Rose had a greater assist to turnover ratio than Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's assist to turnover ratio was 2.49, and he did that while making $33.3 million. Once again, Derrick Rose did it at $7.6 million. The next point guard we're going to look at, Damian Lillard. Derrick Rose once again had a greater assist to turnover ratio than Derrick Lillard, who came in on the season with a ratio of 2.49, the exact same as Kyrie. And Lillard did that while making $31.6 million. Now, the third point guard that Derrick Rose had a higher assist to turnover ratio than is Trae Young. Trae Young came, and this season he had an assist to turnover ratio of 2.28. So Derrick Rose, as the point guard, he had a better 3-point percentage than Russell Westbrook, Bled Van Vliet, and also Lonzo Ball. And now we're seeing his assist to turnover ratio is also better than Kyrie, Lillard, and Trae Young. And Trae Young is on a rookie contract, so he didn't cost too much, 6.5. But Trae Young is about to be eligible for a max extension, which I'm pretty much predicting the Hawks are going to offer him. They would be foolish not to. Now let's go over to PER. Let's see how Derrick Rose fared against some other top point guards in this league when it comes to his PER. So Derrick Rose had a PER greater than or equal to Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's PER was 18.3 this season. He got injured, unfortunate for him, but he did that while earning $27.2 million. Now let's go over the next player, Ben Simmons. What was his PER? The exact same as Jamal Murray, as 18.3. And Ben Simmons is making $30.5 million. And also the next point guard that recently got traded, he's now a member of the Thunder, but this season he was playing for the Celtics. Kemba Walker's PER was 17.7, and he earned a whopping $34.3 million compared to Derrick Rose's 7.6. So look at the value we had from Derrick Rose as our point guard. He wasn't even starting it. He was putting up similar numbers as these, marquee talents on a team that probably isn't as good as the Nuggets, the 76ers, and the Celtics also have talent as well. And his was 18.3. So it was the same as Jamal Murray and Ben Simmons, but it was greater than Kemba Walker at 17.7. So when you look at Derrick Rose and you look at these stats, you kind of wonder, what is he going to make on the open market? Well, he's definitely going to be offered, at least I believe, a team's mid-level exception. So the starting price for Derrick Rose to me is going to be 9.6, which I believe is the non-taxpayers mid-level exception. So when you're factoring this offseason, if you want Derrick Rose to come back, you're going to have to look at a cap figure of around at least $10 million. Some people say he might come at a pay cut. I don't believe so. I think he's going to earn at least anywhere from $10 to $15 million, especially if a team views him as a starter. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you think Derrick Rose is going to potentially command a large deal? Maybe it's 1 year or 2 year deal from another competitor or another contending team to potentially be their starting point guard. I know I compared him to a lot of players that are younger than him. I think this exercise was just to show the level of production we actually got from Derrick Rose this season. And I just wanted to let you guys, see some of these figures so that way if Derrick Rose does sign a pretty reasonable deal elsewhere, you can understand why he commanded that type of price. Now, me personally, I don't think Derrick Rose should be the starting point guard for the Knicks, but I do think he should be a part of this team's future. I think he was solid coming off the bench where we could kind of monitor him and make sure we're not, overusing him. Derrick Rose was the best point guard on this team after the acquisition. And if we can get him some help, get a solid starting point guard and put Derrick Rose back into that role he was in when he came in first after the trade, and that's going to be coming off the bench, I think this team will be solid. But to be the starting point guard, I think that might be too much to ask for Derrick Rose without me knowing what other additions this team is going to make. If we're going to run it back and have to expect Derrick Rose to put up these kind of numbers every night, I think we might end up, kind of tiring him out as the season progresses. We kind of saw him wear down some toward the end of the playoffs. So I think if we can give him a solid 20 minutes, 22 minutes per game off the bench, it'd be great for him and his longevity, as well as it'll be great for our second unit. Because if you look at the second unit, we still have Luka, and I would want Derrick Rose to come back because me personally, I don't want to go into the season with Luka being the only option as our, with our second unit. If we can have Derrick Rose and still have Luka who can play the one with the second unit, still work off ball as well with Derrick Rose out there, I think that would be the best way to go. But once again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Once again, I'm Quis, host of Sports Vibes TV, and I'm out.